Naturally, we have the sexual urges. I don't want anyone to make you believe that your sexual urges are wrong or are invalid, because this is embedded in your human nature. The only challenge with most of these sexual urges and that you have is that many of them are also triggers. They are things that are around you that are feeding this side of your nature and making it worse, enhancing it at moments when you may not even need them. You don't want them around you. I will give you 7 things you must be doing continuously to desexualize your brain coming up. The first thing you must do to desexualize your brain is to identify, avoid, and build resistance to sexual triggers. You particularly need to know, what is it that triggers me? What is it that gets me to feel a certain way through the course of my day? Everyone has a trigger. There are generic triggers, obviously, like porn sites, for example. Those are triggers. Instagram and TikTok are becoming triggers. Social media all around you. Movies that you watch on Netflix, many of them would have sex scenes and all that. These are triggers. Many of them are general triggers that are known. But you specifically need to also identify your own triggers. What further could be making you feel the way you feel? At what times of the day do you feel this way, or do you get distracted that you get to feel this way? And more importantly, you need to build resistance to these things. And I can't tell you how important resistance is. Resistance means you have the ability to not get overwhelmed by something. Resistance means that you have built yourself strong enough to not be enslaved by many of these things being promoted to you on the internet or through social media or other means. Pornography has no hold over me. You have built resistance to all these things, and you don't know how important that is to actually keep you going, because this kind of content will not go away. As a man, you are going to continue to run into them. You are going to continue to see them around you. What then becomes important is that you build resistance. In an environment where you cannot control so many things, you may not be able to control the media. This is why you need to build resistance. You can try your best to minimize them, to not consume them, to not expose yourself to them, but somehow, some way, sometime, it's gonna come around you. I'll give you an example. For somebody who, let's say, walks out their ties, they are building resistance to be able to maybe lift something, to be able to carry something and not feel pain because they've worked out their muscle. You can build resistance to actually, when you somehow mistakenly dabble into any of those things, or somehow find yourself in the midst of it or in that thought, you've built resistance to the point that your mind can withstand not being overpowered, not being overwhelmed, because that's a battle happening in your mind. Your mind can literally win that battle if you build resistance to these sexual triggers of yours. The number 2 technique you must employ in order to desexualize your brain is to stay focused on productive ventures. You can distract yourself by engaging in other things that you know are productive for you, by engaging in other things that you know are important to you, and not having any dull or quiet or lonely, alone moments where you are bored or not knowing what to do with your time. Any man who ever says they are bored is a man without a vision, is a man without enthusiasm, is a man without a goal. If you find yourself often saying to yourself, I'm bored, I don't know what to do, I'm bored, then you need to now start re-evaluating your life. There is a reason you're often bored. Maybe you're engaging in things that you shouldn't be engaging in, like what? Consuming sexual content. And after that, you do not know what else to do with yourself, because that's all you know. That's all you're exposed to. That's what you've trained your mind, your brain to spend time in. This is why you need to desexualize your brain. That essentially means that you are shifting your focus. You are taking away this mindset and you are replacing it with something else that is productive. Like what? engage in sporting activities. If you like to play football, if you like to play tennis, whatever it is that's fun for you, go to the library and read a book, go and do a charity walk, volunteer, something. Pursue your own goals, get into learning a new skill, taking a certification, an exam, get you studying, get you busy, get you a little more exhausted to the point that you are reducing and eliminating your thoughts on sexual related contents. I'm going to point out in this video, there's absolutely nothing wrong with your innate sexual feelings. This is human nature. Many of us, while we're growing up, we were taught that this was wrong or that this was bad. If you had any sort of desire, sexual desire, we were taught and told that we shouldn't be having this sort of feeling. But that is not true, my friend. That is not true. You cannot quench your sexual urges. You cannot quench your sexual desire. You are a man, you are a woman, and you would always sometimes feel that way. That's why we get married. That's why we have partners, to satisfy sexual urges, to be a companion through life. Married, unmarried, whoever you are going to feel this way. And I want you to embrace it. The first part of progress with anything is embracing the truth. If you're going to keep lying to yourself that this is of the devil and it's the enemy that is implanting this feeling in you and these thoughts and all that, my friend, that's an absolute lie. I can agree with you that the enemy capitalizes on these things. Like when there's a room, when there's an opportunity, the devil steps in. The enemy steps in, the media, all this thing, they step in to capitalize, monetize your mind. They want to take hold of your mind. They want to get you addicted. The contents that you watch, the apps that you spend time in, they've studied the human mind and they are there to captivate and hold you for hours. Do you know how unproductive that is? Or rather, do you know how dangerous that is? These guys are intentionally programming these apps to keep you there, all for the sake of them making money. How dangerous is that? TikTok is programmed in a way that you just keep watching. You could spend 2 hours on TikTok. Heck, you could spend 3 hours, 4 hours without knowing. It just goes by quick. If you've noticed, at night when you want to sleep and you pick up a book to read, you'll probably almost be falling asleep in about 30 minutes or 1 hour, even less. But sometimes when you are on TikTok, if you the same night drop the book and you pick up your phone to watch TikTok or go on TikTok or Instagram, you will notice that you are spending hours and not feeling sleepy. That's because they are designed to keep you there. My friend, you must change your focus. You must redirect your energy. You must reprioritize. Your time is the most valuable thing on earth. Not money, not anything else, but your time. The time you waste doing things that you don't need to do, that are unproductive for you, that are absolutely useless for you, that do not contribute anything positively to your life. This is time that you could have been spending doing other things that you'll be useful with, isn't it? You must change your focus. Pursue things that are important to you. You need to embrace the fact that this will come. But what you don't want to embrace is enforcing and creating further room for the enemy to pounce on your mind and possess it and get hold of it where you don't control it, it controls you. You think of anything, you just want to do that thing. You just want to enforce that feeling. You want to validate it. You are engaging in all this cheap dopamine feeling by constantly engaging in the little things and unnecessary things. My friend, shift your focus, spend your time pursuing other endeavors that would absolutely help you lessen the extent to which you think of this sort of sexual content. The third important thing you must keep at the back of your mind, you must do to desexualize your mind. You must stay fit and build your confidence. If you watch the kind of men who engage in the desire, the lustful desire for cheap dopamine, consumption of porn, spending time on OnlyFans with girls, going live with random women, calling on hookers and prostitutes to sleep with. These type of men, there's a certain pattern, there's a certain trait to them. These are men who feel not desirable. These are people who have a little bit of low self-esteem. These are people who would go out of their way to get a woman. These are people who go out of their way and they begin to see women a certain way. They begin to sexualize women because they think that women are there to just meet their own needs. Regardless of who I am, what I've done with my life, it doesn't matter. You are here to satisfy my need, my sexual desires. No, you as a man need to go back to the drawing board and build your self-esteem. Going to the gym can actually boost your self-esteem. Going to the gym does something to your mind. Your ability to even get up, go do something that is a little uncomfortable, but that produces a good result, is a good indication for you. It's a good way to train your mind. It's a good way to speak to your mind, to tell your mind that it's okay for us to engage in this because it's going to pay off tomorrow. But if you're looking for quick satisfaction in the moment, that's how you begin to sexualize your brain more and more and more. But if you're going to the gym, now you're staying fit, you're looking better, you're getting in shape, you're becoming a little more desirable by women. You are building your confidence as well. It has nothing to do with, everything is not about women. You are building your own confidence as well. The brain is that powerful. You train it. It doesn't train you. These efforts you are putting, these incremental steps that you're taking here and there, they come together to boost your self-esteem, thereby making you even perceive some sort of sexual contents as cheap. You do not want to engage in them because you feel like you are too classy to engage in any of these things. You feel like you've attained a certain level not to, call a hooker to your house or a prostitute to your house. You wouldn't be thinking of these things anymore because you even probably have women in abundance who will want to be with you because that phase of life is gone. This is what confidence does. This is what building your self-esteem does. This is what investing in yourself does. This is what building a strong mindset does. This is what building resistance to sexual triggers does. I'll tell you a pretty practical thing you must be doing. Technique. Do not look back. And I mean this literally and mentally. Statistically, 59% of men actually prefer women with a bigger backside than bigger frontage, if you get what I mean. There is a likelihood that when a beautiful woman or a woman with, so many curves and looking good passes by you, there is a higher chance you're gonna look back, especially if you find this person desirable. There's a high chance when she passes like this, you may just be tempted, pretending that you're looking at something else, you're visualizing something in your mind, and now you are also reinforcing your mind and training your mind to be sexualized instead of desexualizing your mind. It's important that when you see a woman on the street, wherever, you're training your mind, you're saying, yes, I'm not gonna look at this person a certain way. Women are much more than you sexualizing them in your mind. Do not look back, even mentally. The progress you've made so far, do not go backwards. If you go backwards, it's easy for the enemy to also take advantage of that and lead you further back. This actually leads me to my next point, right? Which is embrace godliness. Embrace the godly teachings on lust. The Bible specifically also speaks about lust and desires of the flesh. And if you actually read and understand these things that the Bible is talking about, like when it says flee sexual lust, you have to be taken off from sexual lust. You have to literally be running that your leg is hitting the back of your head. This is important that you take flight. For moments like this, you have to replace that craving with godliness. The desire for you to engage or for you to consume or for you to identify with anything that would keep distracting you from your goal that is sexually related. It's important that you replace that with godliness. You can replace that time with anything else. You need to find that thing you can replace that thought process or that time that most likely is in the line of godliness. anything, because you are identifying with the source God, with the person who created you, with the person who understands you, with the person who knows your needs, with the person who made you, with the person who knows your future, with the person who knows your situation. Even if you're married, many married people still have this sort of desires. They still have this sort of lustful desires. They still envision sleeping with another man's wife. They still envision sleeping with a girl that is 20 years old, even when their wife is next to them and she could be the hottest woman on earth, but there's lust in their heart. You need to replace that time of lust. When you get it, replace it with godliness. This is what the Bible is telling us. I'm not the one saying that. Many YouTubers teach these things, and there is no identification or mention of God, because on your own, many times, it's not everything that you could do. On your own, you have to accept that you cannot do it all by yourself. You cannot do everything by yourself. Even as a man, I will not be able to do everything by myself. I will not be able to meet all my needs by myself. I would always need a woman that I'm married to. I would always need a partner. It's hard for you to just go life by yourself. The same way it's hard for you to go life without God. It's hard for you to go life without imbibing the teachings of the Word of God. And what do you need to do in a moment like this? What does the Bible tell us to do in a moment like this? It says, replace the craving with godliness. And what I find that works for me, I go on my keyboard and I just worship. I play my music and I worship. And all that, I feel so much relief. You need to find what works for you so that you can start desexualizing your brain. Do you know how much energy this takes away from you? It does. It does take away a lot of energy from you. I'll tell you another thing that can absolutely help you desexualize your brain. Learn to deal with setbacks. Setbacks will come. When you have a setback or a challenge, and you back out of it, what you are saying is, I am not equal to this at this time. I will go do something else that makes me happy. I will go do something else that's not challenging. I will go do something else that's easy, that's not difficult. What else is that? Most likely you're going to engage in some sort of cheap dopamine. You're probably going to do alcohol. You're probably going to do drugs. You're probably going to do women. You're probably going to do clubbing. You're going to put yourself in positions where you just want to be happy in the moment. Something just to make you a little happy. And that leads to further problems. That leads to further desensitizing your mind. That leads to you reinforcing sexuality in you and making it acceptable, because you fed your conscience this, you fed your mind this over the years. This particular point as well can absolutely help you desexualize your brain. This is all I have for you. My name is Ike. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If this is your first video seeing me and our channel, you can go back, watch so many of our videos as well. You can like the video if it's impacted your life, and you can also share it as well. Subscribe to the channel. I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.